Welcome to the Best You 2022 Spring Summit. I'm so excited that you are here, and I'm super excited to introduce you to your speaker for this session, Lori Wildenberg. Lori is the author of 6 parenting books, a national speaker, and the leader of Facebook's popular Moms Together page with over 23,000 followers. During this session entitled Worth the Follow, she's going to share with you that the social media world is a crowded place, yet it can be a writer's secret weapon. You're going to discover how to gain more followers while offering content that connects, inspires, and informs. Discover the types of posts that gain traction, the 7 deadly media sins to avoid, and the 7 savvy social media practices to apply. Here's Lori.
Hi, I'm Lori, and I'm so glad to be with you. And this is Alyssa, and she's going to be helping us out. So that's pretty great too. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and Alyssa will sort through that. Before we start, we are going to meet with Jesus. We're going to start with a prayer. Father, thank you for being with us, and thank you for reminding us that one of the best ways to share you and to share information is to connect with other people, and help us to remember that you are the one that we are connecting for and connecting to. In Jesus' name, amen. So it's really great to have you here with me today, and we are going to talk about, hey, Laura, how fun that you're here. We are going to talk about Worth the Follow. And in this particular track that Marnie has going on, this is her track regarding how to engage people in social media. And that's what we're going to be focused on. So Worth the Follow, if you're thinking it's worth the follow regarding Jesus, not directly. Okay. Hey, Shayla. It is more about how the Lord can use us on social media. And one of the things that we have to get over, what I have to get over, is worrying about feeling as though it's self-promotion. That's really uncomfortable and kind of gross, right? We don't want that self-promotion. We want to be promoting the Lord through the things that he's encouraged us to do. And we want to also keep in mind that this is something that this is a tool for us to use in order to expand our reach, which is the track that you are on, expand your reach. And so today we're talking about being worth the follow. Why are people going to follow us? What would they follow us for? And hey, Marnie. So why would they want to follow us? Well, they want to follow us because we're going to connect to them. And how are we going to connect to them? Through social media. And that's the way that we are going to connect with our folks. So what we see here is that content is king, and our relationship, our audience won't care that our content rules. Hey, Lisa, won't care that our content rules if they don't know our heart, if they cannot connect with us. And Alyssa, if you could remove the banner for a minute, that would maybe be really helpful. Thanks. Okay. So they want to connect to your heart. So I was going through and looking at all the various places where we can connect with people, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to start at what is available to us. We've got Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, and TikTok. And things are changing quickly. TikTok, for example, is growing by leaps and bounds. It's growing really quickly, as is YouTube and Instagram. Those are some things that are really changing just almost by the minute. And I even looked up the statistics this morning because the statistics change so much. So anyway, you can read through and see what the various places are that we can meet our audience. Now, Facebook, their engagement tends to be only about 8%. And it's meant to be a place where people engage. And if you look at Instagram, the engagement is actually 81%. That's pretty crazy. Now, Facebook is still number one in terms of being able to connect with people, connect with your audience. It is the largest one. In fact, there's 2.9 billion people on Facebook. And when I looked up the statistics before, they've almost flip-flopped. Now there are more men on Facebook than women. Isn't that interesting? And the same goes for Instagram. There are more men on Instagram. It's pretty close, but there are more men on Instagram. And you can see that the largest age groups, and be thinking of the audience that you want to reach. And as you look through these different social media venues, be thinking about the age of your particular audience and where would be the best place to meet them. Facebook is number one. So we always want Facebook. And then we need to make some decisions along the way as to where we want to go next. So here's just a little snapshot of some social media. So on Twitter, I got a puppy. It's a declaration, right? And it's in a short blurb. LinkedIn, this is business to business, right? My skills include training a puppy. Pinterest, here's a post on how to train a puppy, or here's my puppy, right? Instagram, here's a picture of my sweet puppy, and then with the hashtags. And when you are on Instagram, make use of those hashtags. What that does is that puts you into a sort of like a bulletin board of other posts that are somewhat similar. And then Facebook, I love my new puppy. Isn't he so cute? Trying to encourage some type of interaction. All right. So going social, who, what, where, when. So where does your audience gather online? Where do you expect your audience to be? And if you think of men and women and age groups, that will help you determine where your audience is going to land. And then how do they like to receive information and make connections? And again, Facebook is number one. So the best use of your time is going to be Facebook plus something else. Okay. Facebook plus something else. So for me, I mostly focus on Facebook and Instagram because that's where I find most of my people. I do parenting ministry and mom ministry. And so what I have found is with the different age groups that I'm working with even grandmoms, a lot of grandmoms are on Facebook, but they might not be on Instagram. A lot of new mamas are on Instagram and they might not be on Facebook. So for me, I'm making use of both of those. And sometimes I pop into LinkedIn so that I can connect with perhaps some pastors or maybe even people in the healthcare or mental health industry. And that's where LinkedIn is especially good for me. So be thinking about what's going to be your best use of time. We only have so much time. With Facebook, because we should all be using Facebook. And just as a side note, the Facebook is not growing as quickly as it had in the past. Instagram, leaps and bounds, is growing very quickly. TikTok is growing at a crazy rate. So we want to keep paying attention to that. And it could be different in a week. So anyway, so what we want to do with a Facebook's objective is to show users the most relevant and engaging posts in the news feed. All right. and they rate their content. They rank it, they prioritize it, and then they display it. So if your content is getting a lot of likes and comments, Facebook will continue to show it to people, and they will start making it happen. Um, so it will get seen less if you don't have engagement. Okay. So what works on Facebook? We start with relationships. All right. Relationships on Facebook are the key. They're relatable and relevant and real. We want to make sure they're relatable, relevant, and real. Well, how do we get there? Well, one way to do that is not just on your personal Facebook feed, but to create a Facebook page and specifically a Facebook group that goes with that page. For instance, I have a Moms Together page, a Facebook community page, and that page is attached to my Facebook community group. And that's where we really interact and engage. And we have something going every single day. And here's the thing we want to be careful of. We want to minimize self-promotion. We want to be able to share other people's posts, not just our own, because this is, again, a relationship with the hope that other people might be sharing ours as well. Okay. So here's some things that we can do on our Facebook feed and also on Instagram. And some of this stuff also relates to other social media places. So notice live video gets priority treatment. People love inspirational quotes because sometimes we're like, well, what am I going to put on my Facebook page? What am I going to put in my Facebook group? Inspirational quotes are great. Personal quotes. If you have a blog that you have written, you can use your own personal quotes. You can use quotes from people that happen to be in your sphere of influence. Let's say I'm talking about a parenting thing. I may take a personal quote of someone who is involved in parenting that many people know and quote that person. If I'm doing an inspirational quote, I might quote Corrie ten Boom because I love that, or I may use a Bible verse. Okay. People love humorous things and relatable memes. Another way to get people to interact is ask a question or fill in the blank. Using an image with a blog post. An image is super helpful to draw people in. Reposting previous posts, that you can do that. And you don't always have to invent new content. And then an image with a holiday greeting. So be aware of, like national holidays, spiritual holidays, those sort of things are going to help you draw people in. And often the holiday ones get shared a lot. So notice that, and having hosting a contest. So, and we want to be careful of things that are divisive, which we will talk about a little bit later. So here's an example of a quote and a contest, things that I've done. A child needs your love most when he deserves it the least, Irma Bombeck. Isn't that the truth? And then, here's an example of a contest that I was involved in. And then you end up sharing one another's information as well. A personal quote. This is a personal quote from me from my book, The Messy Life of Parenting. And then here's a Bible verse. These are things that we can do that I would consider a little softer. It's not direct personal promotion, which always feels kind of bad. All right, so creating a Facebook page, we're just going to breeze right through this. So what you need to do is get on your personal page, click on home, and then follow the prompts as you go through. And then once you have a page, then you're going to be able to create a group. And your page can be a community page like I have for Moms Together, or it can be a business page or a branding page. Okay. Facebook group is where you interact. It's more personal. With our Moms Together group, we are getting to know people. My Moms Together team and I are getting to know people that attend the group and chime in. And how do you use it? You use it to be interested in other people. Okay. Keep your focus more on the people in the group and what would be interesting to talk about. And how to create a group. Once you've made your professional page, go to the left side, see the word groups, click on it, and then follow the prompts. All right. So what do you do when you need something on your Facebook page, right? That identifies you. And you can make these graphics that are free over at Canva or PicMonkey. And they even have templates for you to create. And you can find some photos if you don't have a personal one from Unsplash, which is free, or Morguefile. All right, here we're going to get to it. These are things we want to really watch out for. We don't want to commit these 7 deadly social media sins. You don't want to be too emotional. You want to not be argumentative, okay? Too emotional, argumentative, a lecturer, airing dirty laundry, being braggy, insulting, passive. These are things that passive aggressive. These are things that turn people off. And in this world today, we've got a lot of divisive stuff going on where people want to take somebody else on. What we recommend in our Moms Together group is we seek to find the things that unify us. And being a mom or a grandmom, that's where we start. And we trust that they are raising their kids according to the way that the Lord would have them raise their specific family. We do not get into political things. We don't get into anything that could divide us. Mask, no mask, vax, no vax. We don't get into that because we want to stay unified in being moms, and we trust everyone to be the best mom that they can be. All right. So avoid those sort of things. Here are some social media practices that are really important for us to interact. Interaction is the biggest thing. It causes us to get to know somebody else. When we can present things in a positive, hopeful way, if we can stay consistent in our messaging and be real, be authentic. A friend of mine, Jill Savage, she had put out a post where it showed Jill and her husband, Mark, starting to create a video. And then so they took a picture of the two of them, creating the video, and then they backed the picture up, and you could see what a full-on disaster their room was that they were shooting the video in. And it added such real life flavor. And it was so great. And it got so many hits because how fun to see the imperfection as they're trying to create this video. That also makes you approachable. We want to minimize that self-promotion, and we want to share other people's stuff as well. So here are some other avenues that we can go. Facebook Live is a really good one. YouTube is growing like crazy with all the streaming services moving in. YouTube is one of the biggest ones, and getting on YouTube is a big deal. Other things that you can do and find out more about are podcasting and blogging. These are other ways to reach our audience, to reach people who need us to reach them. Okay. So who needs your message? Who is it that needs your message? So one of the best things that we can do is to create an avatar, create a character that is someone who needs to hear what you have to say, who needs to hear what God has put on your heart. Now, how do you create an avatar? So what I'd like you to do as you are sitting here and listening to this is to grab a pen and a pencil, piece of paper, and write down the sex of the person, the gender of the person that needs your message. So we'll start there. We'll start with the gender. Then we will move into the age group, the age of your target audience, your target person. All right. Now, socioeconomically, where do they live? Are they a stay-at-home mom? Are they a working mom? A dad? Okay. So start to create your character, your typical person. And the point of doing this is that it makes you more fine-tuned, more purposeful in how you create your content, because you know who you're speaking to and how you post and where you post your content. And it will help you, again, to go back and see, okay, I'm on Facebook. I can find these people in, maybe even look at some other Facebook groups that are doing something similar to you. And notice, who are the typical people that are in this space. For our Moms Together group, the typical people that are in this space are moms. There's no dads, but our age group ranges because we want to be like Titus 2 and have moms who have been there and moms who are in the middle of it, moms that are just beginning, and we can all learn from each other and gain some sensitivity to each person's position. And that's what we want to do. So try to create your avatar so that you know who your audience is and where you could perhaps find them. All right. So what's your plan? And in the comments section, what I would love to see where you plan to go on social media. If you guys would say where you plan to go on social media and who your specific person is, your specific audience. So Lisa, what about you? Where do you really like to go? I see that you said you started a new podcast. So this is gonna help you when you do your avatar. And then, so if you guys could write down in the comments, are you able to do that? That would be fun. Oh, taking notes. Okay. So Lisa says that she does Facebook daily and Instagram daily. And so do I. And she's got a target audience of women and women of all ages. And I've seen Lisa's post, and her stuff does appeal to, I would say, wouldn't you say, Lisa, more adult women? It doesn't like not just females, but probably 25 perhaps and up. And yeah, Lisa has mentioned the live. It is a little scary, but it can create, like she says, good vibes. So I'm going to encourage you to create your avatar, figure out where you are going to find your people, and then go to those groups that have that and sort of see what's going on, because you might pick up some tips. And then as you post, you want to mix it up. You want to have Bible verses. You want to have inspirational quotes. You want to have your own personal quotes. You want to share other people's things. So mix it up so it's not all of the same kind of thing. And PicMonkey and Canva are so great for creating images. So you can find me on Facebook at Moms Together. And you can also find me on my personal page, Lori Apple Wildenberg, and then on my author page, the 1 Corinthians 13 Parenting, which also comes up as Lori Wildenberg. So you can find me on all these various places. And a lot of people are using TikTok now. So that might be something that I'm going to need to investigate myself. So I think we can, we'll conclude here in prayer, but then after the prayer, we are going to go ahead and have some Q&A time. So if you have your questions, get ready. Father, thank you for reminding us that social media is not to be abused, but to be used for your glory, for your kingdom, to ultimately draw people to yourself. Help us to honor the mission that you have given us so that we can reach people who you would have us reach with the mission that you have given us. And remind us that this is not about us, but it is ultimately about you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Do we have any questions? Right. So I'm seeing Marnie, and she says that her target audience is women 45 to 64 that wear many hats, and probably that might be some of us here, right? Author, speaker, pastor's wife, women's ministry leader, event planners, other leaders, and entrepreneurs. And she posts twice daily, oh gosh, to 6 platforms.
Okay, Lori, I saw a question, so I thought I would share it for you. The first question is, any suggestions on what authors can do over on TikTok?
Boy, that's, TikTok is really new to me. But what I have seen that works is people will go ahead and have maybe 3 points, almost like a blog, right? They'll have their 3 points. They'll state their premise, and then they'll one and then have their first point displayed. I've seen up to 5 points displayed, but I think 3 might work best. So I wouldn't do more than 5, but have your points displayed, and think of it as a video blog that has the highlights.
All right, we have another question, and that is, what is the type of post that gains the most interaction?
I feel like it's usually when you ask people about themselves. So for instance, in our Moms Together group, whenever I'll ask a question like, what was your first car? All right. That got a lot of responses. And it was so fun because you could see the various age groups answer, and also how families handled the first car. Did they give their child their minivan, or did they actually go ahead and buy them a new car? Or it was really fun to see all the different interactions, but more of a question about somebody else, sort of like, here's your statement, and then you ask them about them. So that's a good question.
So Lisa had a couple follow-up questions, and one is, the 3 points are in a video that they created, and she also asked, do you need music with that video?
TikTok typically has music going on in the background. I don't know if you absolutely have to have it. I have seen some that don't, but there's always sound. So sometimes the 3 points are actually are verbalized by the person, but most often what I have seen is there's music in the background and the person does a little jig and points points to stuff. But for me, I would probably do a TikTok video where I was actually speaking and not because I'm not going to feel comfortable. That's not going to be me to do a little jive in front of everybody. I won't feel comfortable with that. I think you have to feel comfortable. I would do the speaking and point to and have the points displayed, but it would be my voice. You can do it either way. It does seem to be that there's more music and pointing, but that's not my style. But if it's someone else's, that's great. And those are fun to watch. I like to watch them. I don't want to do one. So yeah, good questions. Really good questions.
She agreed with you there. She said that's not for her either.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen a lot of Lisa's posts, and she does such a nice job with presenting herself and her ideas that, Lisa, I think that would actually be a pretty great way for you to go. I think you do a really good job. And yeah, that doing a little jig scares me too. It just looks awkward to me, but there are some people that it's really great, So I just saw a Instagram that was, or not it was on Instagram, but it was a TikTok post. So they did their video and then they put it on Instagram, and it was terrific. And it didn't have a jig. The guy was talking about, it was mental health that he was talking about. And he had 5 points that he wanted to make. And I thought it was excellent. And I would have shared it, but I wasn't able to share the video. So I thought it was great. It's really great.
Well, Lori, I see people repurpose their TikToks over on Instagram Reels, or you could do Instagram Reels in lieu of the TikToks too. Yeah.
And, everyone, Alyssa, she is so awesome. She is my virtual assistant. And here's just a little plug for her. She is great. So if you need any help, contact me and I will get you in contact with Alyssa. So yeah, to repurpose them. You can repurpose a lot of the content that you make. For instance, I do a lot of Facebook Lives on Fridays. I do a prayer and a Bible verse, and then I've repurposed many of those to YouTube. And now, looking at the newest statistics regarding YouTube, I'm going to do that a lot more. I hadn't realized it had taken off so much. So yeah, YouTube's pretty great. So gosh, any other questions? Marnie says TikTok is not on my horizon. Marnie does it all. So, because I'm thinking if you do 2 well, that's really good. Pick 2. And then I kind of dabble in the other ones, but I'm not very consistent. It kind of depends. If I have a post, like for instance, my newest book that came out, Messy Hope, Help Your Child Overcome Anxiety, Depression, or Suicidal Ideation. I definitely put that on LinkedIn because I'm connected to, mental health professionals and pastors there. And I want to make sure that they know about that resource. So it depends on your post too. All right. Any other questions? Okay, well, I know oh yes, Lisa, that's so cute. My book is on the shelf behind me. Right back there. Messy Hope. Thanks. Nice to have a friend, right? So anyway, I think we could conclude, and I appreciate you coming. And if you have any more questions, we can go through and answer those, but it doesn't look like it. So are you interested in seeing the various places where you can post and who's on there, because I could show that one more time because I kind of whipped through that. Is that so? What do you think, Alyssa? Should I show that again?
Sure, and they could always take a screenshot or something. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So all right. So we're going to have to move through it a little bit. All right. So again, TikTok is growing really fast, and I don't think you have to dance, even though most people do. All right. Facebook is the media giant, right? And YouTube is growing quickly. So we can take a look at these stats. All right. So as far as Facebook, the largest age group that participates on Facebook is 25 to 34. That's 30% of the Facebook, 31% of the Facebook audience. And keep in mind, Facebook reaches 2.9 billion people. Instagram is growing really quickly, quite rapidly. All right. It's number 2 as far as how many people it reaches. It reaches over 2 billion. And engagement is really great there. All right. And the age group is 25 to 34, the same as Facebook. All right. It used to be young people, just young people were on Instagram, and now it has morphed into this. So its statistics are pretty much mirror Facebook's. And then YouTube is growing by leaps and bounds as well. 2 billion plus are on YouTube. And here you'll reach a little bit younger audience. All right. And more women, more men again. TikTok is reaching 1 billion. And so that is really growing quickly as well, like leaps and bounds again. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, boom. So that one is really reaching a lot of people. And particularly if you have a younger age group in mind that you want to reach, and you specifically want to reach girls or women, TikTok is probably your place. LinkedIn, that has 810 million people that are a part of that, and which is a lot, of course. And that's more business to business. All right. And Pinterest, we've got 431 million, and that's a very passive situation. You just pin, it's just a bulletin board. You just pin your stuff there. But what I've realized is that Pinterest can really grow a podcast. So if you're doing a podcast, you'll want to be on Pinterest and put your podcast on there. Snapchat reaches a younger audience as well. 15 to 25 makes up 48% of their audience, and 319 million people are on there. And Twitter has surprised me. It used to be in the top 5, and now it's number 8. And Twitter has 211 million people on Twitter, and it does have the age group, I would say basically young adults. 42% make up Twitter, with mostly men on Twitter. A lot more men on Twitter. So those are the places that you can go to reach your people.
We did have one more question.
Okay.
I've maxed out my Facebook friends on my profile, but have fewer on my ministry page. Any suggestions to get more followers on the ministry page and new podcast page besides doing an invitation?
The invitation is really the best way to go. Have you noticed, Lisa, that when you click on your ministry page, there's a spot where you can see when somebody's liked it, if they have been invited? Have you noticed that? Because that's sort of gold. and you can invite them if they haven't been invited. So you click on the people who have liked it, and then when you see who they are, over to the right, it says, if they've liked your page or if they need to be invited. Have you noticed that? Because that's one way to directly. You can also, I would say you could also put on your personal page that you have your Facebook ministry page. And there are some people that I've noticed that are really not interacting with me on Facebook, and I'm not interacting with them. I haven't even realized they've been there. And sometimes I just move those folks off to make room for people that would perhaps want to be on my personal Facebook page. And they're not going to care because they're not interacting and they won't even know, and you don't even know them. So I think that's okay. Okay, good. Good. All right. So let's see what. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the questions. I appreciate that. And okay. I think we recapped. Anything else? Oh, that's a good idea. Marnie says she also keeps her personal page to 4,990. Okay, so she's just below the 5,000. That's good. So she can send a personal note inviting each new inquiry and invitation to the ministry page. That's good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I keep mine under that too, just for that reason as well. So I hope that helps, Lisa. All right. Well, I know this is the last session of the summit. Otherwise, I'd encourage you to go on to your next one, but I believe this is the last. So I think we can go ahead and do the outro or extro.
I'm so excited that you got to join us for this session as well as for the Spring Summit. And now I want to encourage you to be sure to get your swag gifts. Not only have today's speakers provided a swag gift for you, but also all of the speakers we've hosted so far in 2022 have each provided a swag gift for you. You can find them all over at bestyou2022.com on the homepage there. Also, be sure to check your schedule so you don't miss any of the upcoming sessions, or even if they've gone by, it's still going to be the same link to join on YouTube. You can watch the replay right now. Everything is free, both while it's live as well as afterwards. And we encourage you to invite a friend. There's no reason not to. It's free. It's available going forward. She will be blessed just as you've been blessed. And we encourage you to include everyone you can think of. So just remember, all those initial sessions that didn't happen today but happened earlier are still all available on YouTube for you anytime. Again, we're just so excited that you could join us here for this program. And I pray that you will be blessed and encouraged, and that you will follow up with this speaker and learn more about her ministry and even invite her to speak at your upcoming events. Welcome. God bless. And I hope to see you in another session.